I'm going to quickly answer the question that inevitably all of you are going to have at 5 p.m. Central Time today. Should you buy the Ruby 14 or Black Diamond 14mm paddles dropping today from 6-0 Pickleball? I'm Rafa, the Pickleball Tech Dude, ex-PPA, Harvard-educated engineer, and seasoned pickleball product tester. The new 6-0 Ruby 14 and Black Diamond 14 paddles drop today at 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can get the Ruby for around $180 and the Black Diamond for closer to $160 with my code RAFA10 at checkout. I'll have a link for you guys in the description that directly applies my discount code so you can pull the trigger as fast as possible today. I can't thank anyone who uses my code or plans to use my code enough, because using that definitely helps me out and helps me grow the channel and make it even better to bring you guys even better reviews every week. This is definitely going to be a first impressions review because my time with these paddles was really spent during a 6-0 demo event here in Dallas during the Texas Open, which I was really lucky to get invited to, and then through a few ambassador friends of mine. So I probably have about an hour or two on both of these paddles so far. But a huge shout out to Dale from 6-0 for inviting me out to that event. And then shout outs also to John Q and his podcast co-host Eddie, and Brian Lim at Building Pickleball, and Chris Olson at the Pickleball Studio, and Braden at Pickleball Effect, and Doug from Bread and Butter. It was really awesome meeting all of them in person. If you ever get the chance to see one of them out in public, definitely go up to them because you won't regret it. And also shout outs to Mo and Nick at The Grove for hosting all of us. It was just a really awesome venue to do that. But all right, enough of that talk. Let's get to the stats comparison between the 14mm and 16mm versions of both the Ruby and the Black Diamond Power Series. And then I'm going to tell you guys what I felt was truly the difference between the two. Starting off with the Ruby, the first thing that immediately felt different was the swing weight. This paddle is 100% faster at the net. I measured a swing weight of 113 on the Ruby 14, which is a really great improvement down from 116 I got on my Ruby 16. Now, while that may not seem like a big difference, you're 100% going to feel it, especially at the net when you're going to have that increased hand speed. The next most apparent thing was the twist weight and sweet spot difference. I did feel like the 14mm Ruby was a little bit less forgiving and had a slightly smaller sweet spot that was still shifted upward on the paddle due to the flared out shape in comparison to the 16mm. Now, this isn't uncommon at all. Every paddle I've seen that goes from a 16 to a 14mm loses some forgiveness of that sweet spot and also decreases the twist weight. I will say you can improve it by putting tape not on the 4 and 8 positions, which are the bottom corners, but a little bit above that, but still under the 6-0 logo on the sides. You're going to improve that sweet spot and that twist weight a decent amount, but I will say just out the box and overall, I would gravitate more towards the 16mm if you're looking for a better sweet spot and a little bit more consistency on the shot accuracy. And the last two things that stuck out for me were the power pop combination and the spin levels between the two. The Ruby 14 had more power but less pop to me than the Ruby 16mm, and the stats back that up. This makes a lot of sense because by shrinking the core, you're giving more energy back to the ball, which is increasing your power there. But when it comes to pop, I feel like a lot of it is really correlated to your sweet spot size because you're really depending on that short swing to have some really consistent launch off the sweet spot. And with the 14mm paddle having a smaller sweet spot than the 16, it lends itself to a little bit lower on the pop numbers, but not by a huge amount. And when it came to the spin, these paddles were very, very similar, with the 14mm feeling just a little bit less spinny than the 16. The only reason I noticed this, to be honest, was because I was hitting them side by side. If you look at it from a pure unbiased perspective, both of these paddles had spin numbers that were within 60 or 70 RPM or something like that, and that's not something that's super noticeable, honestly, on the court. All right, moving on. When we're chatting Black Diamond, I'm going to make things simple here, and I'm going to tell you that the same differences that I saw between the Ruby 14 and Ruby 16 are the same things that you'll notice from the Black Diamond 14 to the Black Diamond 16. The biggest improvements you'll feel are in your hand speed and your power. Your hands are definitely going to feel a lot faster at the net, and you'll stay in hands battles a lot longer. And then with the power, I felt even more power on this than I did on the Ruby 14. I think this is one of the more powerful paddles that 6-0 has in their line right now. Where you're probably going to feel the biggest difference is again in the sweet spot and the twist weight. The twist weight on the Black Diamond 14 in comparison to not only the Black Diamond 16, but both of the Rubies has been the lowest, and you do definitely feel that. The ball feel is a little bit more shocking on the lower end of the paddle, so why 100% if you're getting this would throw some lead tape. Again, not on the 4 and 8 bottom corners, but a little bit higher up, but still under the 6-0 logo on the sides. The Black Diamond 14 also got the lower spin numbers between the two, but also the lowest spin numbers across all 4 paddles. But again, it's still not a low spinning paddle. I'm pretty sure the numbers were over 2100 RPM, and that is still a drastically large amount of spin to have on a paddle. I will say that the fact that the Black Diamonds use raw fiberglass instead of raw carbon fiber or raw Kevlar the way that the Rubies do does come with a set of differences in ball feel and spin potential, but that to me doesn't mean that these were lacking. I think that these were still very competitive with everything else on the market. And so if you're asking me today at 5 p.m., Rafa, what paddle am I going out and getting? I personally am recommending the Ruby 14. I think the Ruby 14 is probably the most worth it for a couple of reasons, including the fact that the Ruby 16 is my second favorite Kevlar paddle behind the Honolulu J2K, and this 14 does make some target improvements that I think a lot of people with the Ruby 16 were looking for. If you are playing with your 16 and you really love that sort of all-court control and sweet spot forgiveness that you get from it, then I would personally stick with it. But if you are playing with your paddle and you honestly think, wow, I need a lot faster hands, I could use some more maneuverability, and the power is not quite there for me, then those are things that the Ruby 14 dramatically improved upon for me, and that's what makes it more worth it. In comparison with trying to recommend the Black Diamond 14, the Ruby 14 is an easy recommendation because personally, I think it's going to be the best 14mm Kevlar paddle out there when it drops. I know there's not many at all, but I've tried pretty much all of them, or at least all of the mainstream ones, and I do think this one's going to be the best. As opposed to with the Black Diamond 14, I think if you were looking for a decided improvement on the Black Diamond 16, I'd probably go for the double Black Diamond 14 because it does have a little bit higher twist weight and a little bit more forgiveness, but it's still giving you that faster hand speed than you would have had with the Black Diamond 16. That being said, though, if you are in love with the performance of your Black Diamond 16, then I do think that in comparison, again, if you're looking for that faster hand speed and you're looking for that bit more mobility, then you are going to go for the Black Diamond 14, no question. So yeah, I hope this video helps. I do think that these paddles are going to sell out really, really quickly. So I would make sure that you set an alarm and jump on it right away, because if the triple Black Diamond drop and the previous Ruby drops have shown anything, these paddles are going to probably sell out in minutes. So if you liked what you see, thank you so much for making it this far in the video, and make sure you like and subscribe for the full paddle reviews and other paddle reviews and the YOLA drama and pretty much everything that I cover on the channel. And if you want to pull the trigger on one of these paddles, again, the link's down in the description that directly applies my discount code so that you can go as quickly as possible. Again, thank you so much for watching and for your support, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.